Hey there! You've probably noticed the mixed feelings around AI-assisted development. Among all the debates, there's one thing that keeps boiling over: the review fatigue. So, first, you write a prompt, hopefully a good one. Then comes the slow feedback loop where you wait for the code to generate. And once it's there, you have to review the whole thing. That alone comes with significant cognitive load that can drain you intellectually and emotionally. Then you realize that something's off. What do? Do you roll back and fix the prompt? Do you ask it to patch the mess? Or do you just throw the PR over the wall and let someone else deal with it? How efficient is that? How do you feel afterwards? And what about your teammates? But there's more. Crucial architecture decisions get made in a prompt in isolation. Someone is just making a big decision in a prompt. Worse, the agent might make crucial design choices that sneak into your codebase and not only live there for years, but also quietly steer all the future design decisions off course, thus harming your product in the long run. The other problem is that agents are often used for a code and fix workflow, but we could use them differently. Personally, I don't see the point in asking an AI agent to implement something, then falling for minutes or hours into a loop of manual testing, reprompting, testing again, and only then saying, looks good. Now, please write tests so that this doesn't change anymore. Is that really efficient? What if we flip the script? What about test-driven development with AI assistance? It would go like, come here, agent. This is what I want to do. Let's write the tests together. Good. Now you know how to run these tests, right? So I'll just go grab a coffee. Meanwhile, you implement this until all the tests are passing. This is what I call charted coding. Let's forget about AI assistance right now. Charted coding workflow goes like this. You start with the design doc, where you discuss your goals and test cases and the design and the implementation detail with your coworkers, with the teammates and the business and everyone involved. From there, you write failing tests. So this is the first step of the red-green refactor of TDD, test-driven development. So you write the failing tests, and from there, you implement the feature as you want, just to make the tests pass. And after that, you tidy up your code while keeping the tests green, and you refactor as needed. And that's it. What's interesting here is that you can notice that the steps at the top are those that require more focus, more teamwork, because they're the creative tasks, they are the long run tasks. And the step at the bottom, which is just making the test pass, is the repetitive and time consuming work. It doesn't mean it's easy, but it's kind of repetitive. That's where an AI agent could be more efficient than us. The idea here is to balance the participation between humans and AI depending on the nature of the task. For example, for writing the design doc, you might want humans to participate a bit more because they have the long-term vision and they talk with the business and we can involve the business in there. And but again, the AI could still help with the design doc. Then we write the failing test, and that's something where AI could help us a bit more. And finally, to make the tests pass, well, that's something that the AI could brute force. I don't care about how it's making the test pass. I just want them to pass. Then we can refactor that with the AI step by step to tidy up our code as needed. And of course, we will probably have to polish some agent rules and instructions to improve the AI behavior in all these steps. Obviously, this is something that we'll have to configure, but the AI could also help us configure this, which is pretty interesting. That is why it's called charted coding, because you start by charting your route and what you're gonna do so that you don't have the cognitive load of all the steps. You're just having the big picture. And then we dive in a little later in the implementation details. But when we're in the implementation details, we're not thinking about the whole route and where we're going. So we have the big picture here, and we're involving the AI with us there. Then comes the autopilot mode. Everything is set up. We just let the AI implement whatever it has to do. And then we have to fine tune and reroute because, the AI didn't go in the right direction, or maybe the weather changed, or I don't know what happened, and we have to adapt the code. It is now time to watch this in action. So we're going to add pagination to this recipe search page with just a next and previous button. So let me just grab my apron and let's dive into this. Let's go. So I'm using cursor here with a couple of rules here for my Angular guidelines, my testing guidelines, and design dog guidelines that we'll talk about. And also some NX rules there. And I could just start by asking cursor to just implement the feature for me. So add pagination to recipe search. Imagination would be nice, but pagination is better. And now we can wait. I'm gonna grab some coffee. It's not exactly what I was waiting for, because this recipe filter is the object that represents the filtering, not the pagination. So I don't like that. And I was also expecting something with offsets and limits, because that's how we do in my team, for example. I'm not using page and page size. So, okay. And the page repository has changed. So this is okay. Send in the page and the page size to the server. Yeah, it's not exactly the options that the server is expecting, but okay. I mean, I didn't provide the information anyway, so makes sense. No, okay. Now if I go to the filter form, so the page and the page size are now inputs of the filter form, so that's not exactly what I wanted. And the recipe search has a previous and next button. So the previous page is sometimes disabled, but not the next button. And let's look at the tests. Wow, okay, so the tests are not passing, but I could ask cursor to fix that, but it's not exactly how I test things. I don't want my test to do many things. I'd like to isolate my tests and make them like add a test just for the next button, one for the previous button, instead of scenarios like this with assertions in the middle. Okay, and set page size. I wasn't expecting the page size to be dynamic, but I didn't mention it. And yeah, so that's it. And let's just see if it works. So it's not working, and now I should start asking cursor to fix that, and that's what might take some time or not, but anyway, it's just code and fix. Okay, so cursor generated a big thing here, and now I have to analyze that. Also, I'm thinking that it would have been nice to put the paginator in a different component, but I'd have to ask cursor to change that, because I forgot to tell it first. And there are almost 70 lines of code, and this is not working, and I have to read all that, and that's draining. That's a lot of cognitive load, and there's the review fatigue and everything. So I don't want to go this way. I want to go with charted coding. So I want to draw a little map of where I'm going and then dive in. So let's reset everything. Great. Now let's forget about this. Let's close everything. I'm going to start with a design doc, which I highly recommend no matter what's your development workflow. So here, I'm going to create a new file, the design docs, recipe pagination.md. I have a little snippet for my design doc templates. And yeah, I'm not going to need this now. So what is my goal? And the good thing here is that this is something that I'm not going to write alone. I'll have my coworkers with me, or the business, or I don't know. This is something that we'll work on, that we'll draft maybe for a while, or maybe it's going to be just 5 minutes. It depends on the feature we're implementing and your team and the context and everything. So what I want is to explain why are we doing this. We want users to discover the new recipes in our catalog. Filtering is not enough to bring the interesting recipes in one page. And if we display all of them, it's going to be performance and UX problems. That is why we need pagination for recipe search. Of course, I could ask Cursor to help me rephrase this and stuff, but let's move on. So what is the desired behavior? First, I could disable I highly recommend in this step to maybe disable the completions so that it doesn't deconcentrate you, so that you stay focused while chatting with other people. You're already discussing this with the business. So let's just think of our first features, and then we'll ask the AI to help us. So pages should have a limit of 5 recipes. When the user clicks next, we move to the next page. Now let's enable Cursor tab. When the user clicks previous, we move to the previous page, of course. When the user, no, we don't want all that. When on the first page, the previous button should be disabled. When on the last page, the next button should be disabled. And one last thing is that when we change the search criteria or the filter, we want to go back to the first page. When filter criteria change, we want to go back to the first page. I liked their sentence. We reset to the first page. Good. Oh, okay. Problem with the mic. Okay, good. This is great. Now, what would be amazing is that I love diagrams. You probably like diagrams too. They help me visualize things and discuss them. So let's ask Cursor to help us with a mermaid diagram. And by the way, in my design docs rules, I have some rules about the design docs, about the diagrams. So I use square corners for Angular components. I use round corners for Angular services. And in the arrows, I use the brackets and stuff like that for the inputs and outputs. And here's an example. So let's see how it goes. For some reason, inline generation of mermaid diagrams doesn't work. So I'm going to use the chat for that. Generate a mermaid flowchart diagram with a recipe search component, the recipe repository service, and the upcoming Paginator component. Paginator. Come on. It's good. There's no recipe list component. You can just remove it. You can also just remove the arrow from recipe repository to recipe search component and just use the return type in the label. Okay, go ahead and add it to the design doc. Great. So I don't like the noise of this recipe search thing. Just this is good. So this is almost there. It has filters. Well, actually, it's not filters. It's just one filter. So this is easy to change. I'm going to change it manually. The observable type, well, I'd rather use brackets so that we can see them, even though it's not how generics work in TypeScript. Okay. Edit the diagram and replace page and total pages with offset, limit, and total. That will be the inputs for Paginator component. And the Paginator component will have an offset change output. The recipe repository will take the filter parameter, but also the offsets and the limit, and it's going to return an observable with an object in it that contains an items property, which is of type recipe array, and total property. Way better. So yeah, search, filter, offset, limit, number, create. Oh, come on, brackets here. I like this. And offset, limit. I could ask it to do this, but it's faster to do it manually. I really like this design. Oh yeah, this is noise too. Don't need that. And I don't use circles. I just use rounded corners. And I have a great diagram that I can discuss with my coworkers. I don't have much to say about implementation details, but just to make sure everything is clear, I could add the search method signature so that we're all aligned. Repository search signature. Yeah, that's good. Could add this to class recipe repository. Yeah. So the filter, it's good. I don't know if I want order parameters. I'd prefer something more like this. Yeah, this is better, isn't it? Do you agree? I agree. So that's good. Perfect. Now let's talk about what's happening here. Good. My favorite part, the testing strategy. We're going to go to TDD, so I want to start with my tests. And the best approach is to talk with the business again and know what's the test scenarios that we have to think of. So in terms of strategy, I'm going to write some tests that are on the recipe search component, including the paginator and a fake recipe repository, like a test double for the recipe repository. And then I'm going to also have some tests just for the paginator, some narrower tests that just focus on the paginator and its inputs and outputs. All of these, I call them narrow tests because they're fast, they have low cognitive load, so I can easily reason about them. and anyone in the team can easily debug these tests, and they're easy to isolate and parallelize because we're not sharing any database or stuff, or having to go through authentication and things like that. So let's go. I'm going to write the first testing scenario just to inspire the agent or the assistant for the other testing scenarios. So this is the recipe search tests, and here it's go to next page. Arrange the fake repo with like 7 recipes because we have a 5 pagination, so 7 recipes is good. And mount the component. And oh, sorry, what was their idea here? Click next. Assert the repo. No, I don't want to assert the repo is cold. Come on. Assert the last 2 recipes are displayed. It's good. And another scenario, I don't want to test previous here. We'll test this on the Paginator. There's no value here in the recipe search. But what I want to test is when I change the filter and I'm on the second page, then the user should be redirected to the first page. So when filter changes, we reset to the first page. Good. This is good. Almost. Arrange the fake repos. Where does the burger come from? So with 7 recipes, including yes, including burger and another burger, which are respectively on the first and second page. Mount the component. Click next. Type burger. So we're on the second page. Type burger. Assert that the first 2 recipes, not exactly. Assert that only that burger and another burger are displayed. And that's it. That's good. Now let's move to the Paginator. Update the design doc with Paginator test cases, just like the ones we've created for recipe search. Great, so we want to disable the previous button, of course. When we're on the next page, mount the Paginator with offset 0, limit 7, and the total of 5 and total of 7, that's better. Assert the previous button is disabled. Disable next button, we're on the last page. Yeah, that's good. Emit offset change when next is clicked, it's good. Emit offset change when previous is clicked, it's good. And does not emit when next. You cannot click it because it's disabled, so useless and useless. Perfect. This is good. And our design doc is ready and complete. Now that we have a design doc, not only can we discuss it with our coworkers or with the business or external coaches, but I could also ask the AI agent what it thinks about it. So let's go. What do you think of this design document? Did we miss anything crucial? Okay, so it's trying to make make us feel good about our design doc. Then it's saying, yeah, there are some edge cases that we didn't think of that could be interesting. The loading indicator, but that's already handled by the recipe search probably. The accessibility, that's very important, and we didn't mention anything about it in the design doc. The performance, the UX. Yeah, of course, should we show the paginator when there's only one page? I don't know, maybe not. We should discuss this maybe with the business. And do you need to consider cursor-based pagination for scalability? That's also important. That's a typical kind of question that you should ask yourself before jumping into the implementation. Should you paginate by cursor or by offset? There are trade-offs there that we could deep dive into, etc., etc. And by the way, I also forgot to mention some non-goals here, and that also helps our coworkers and the agents too. Like non-goals, no infinite scroll. We don't want to do that, and no dynamic page size because we want to keep things simple. No scroll because it's against our organization's principles or ethics. We don't want people to waste their time. And no dynamic page type because we want to keep things simple. Anyway, so that's just an example of how this could help. And that's it. And of course, I could ask the agent to help a little bit. Could you add an accessibility section with specific guidelines for this design document? This is interesting. Yeah, the role navigation or the nav tag for the pagination section is interesting. It's important. In the area disabled, well, I might not need that if I use native buttons or UI library, but it's good to mention, so I could improve this later. Now, let's dive into the implementation. But first, let's commit and push this design doc and even create a PR so that my coworkers can see what I'm doing and maybe tell me, oh, stop doing this. We don't need pagination anymore. And let's go. Docs add design document. Perfect. This is exactly what it is. Good. Okay, so this is where the fun starts. But I'm going to go with baby steps. I want to create the empty files first just to make sure it's following the file structure. Based on this design doc, generate empty files for anything new, but do not edit anything existing. And don't forget to generate empty test files. I'm not going to submit this because, as you can see, you don't want to write the same prompt all the time. That's where you're going to waste time. So I could have prepared prompts in some prompt files, markdown files that I could mention here and reuse. Or you can use an MCP server. So in this workspace, I've created a custom MCP server, which is here, tools, MCP charted coding, and it's just one file here, and it has just a few tools. It has what I call the charted scaffold. It's the scaffold phase where I'm just asking it based on the design doc, could you please generate new test files and keep the files empty, do not write anything in them, etc. And these are MCP tools. They could have been MCP prompts, but the MCP prompts don't work as of today in many IDEs, so this works. It's not perfect yet, but it works. Then we'll see the other steps later. So instead of asking this, I'm just going to type scaffold, and it's going to pick my MCP, hopefully, and it will pick the instructions and do whatever it's asking. So it created the paginator. It didn't touch anything in the repository. It added the test files, everything is just, these are just empty files. That's great. The only thing that it didn't understand is that the paginator is not specific to the recipe, so I'm gonna ask it to move it. The paginator is not specific to the recipe, so can you just rename it to Paginator and put it in the shared folder, please? Paginator. This is horrible. Okay, good. I can't prevent myself from saying please. Good. Yep. It didn't forget about the test. That's good. And it removed the other files. Perfect. So I have my files here. I can commit these files. Now the next step, just before implementing tests, is to generate empty classes and components, because otherwise AI agents have a hard time writing tests that do not compile. So they need this to build, even if the tests are failing. So this is what I call the WIP phase, or the work in progress phase. And I have the prompt here in my tool. So here I'm asking it to create WIP classes, which are classes and components and functions that just throw work in progress errors. And they are WIPricated, meaning that they are deprecated because they're work in progress, just to make sure nobody's using them by mistake. And I'm asking it to not implement anything. And you have to insist a lot about that, because agents want to write code very quick, just like us human beings. So let's try it and see how it goes. And I just say WIP. Good. It created the components with its inputs and outputs. Oh, this is amazing. So this is also an instruction where I ask it to pick my test cases and just put them as comments in the test, because that's how I write my test. Actually, I write plain English just to think of the testing scenario without the noise of how am I going to implement this test. And what else did it create? The paginator. Oh yeah, it fixed the imports and it's deprecated. So that's perfect. It didn't create the recipe search spec. What about recipe search? Yeah, it's not perfect. It didn't think of everything, but at least you can tell it to do so, and that's great. Have everything ready, and I can commit these to-do tests, or to-do tests. Yeah. Good. Let's go back to the MCP, and here my next prompt is, well, next test. So these are the instructions for writing just one test. I don't want it to write all the tests in one shot, because I just want to make sure the first test is okay, and then use that to generate the next tests. So let's start with the paginator spec, and I'm going to ask it to, I'm going to add this file, paginator spec, and just say next test, please. Yeah, I like it. It's not perfect. I use gloves for this kind of things, the utility functions in a setup function and stuff like that. But this is really good. We can tidy up later. Oh, and ng test details here is just a wrapper of testbed. So there are different options here. I could just ask it to write the next test or just write all the tests in the same way, or I could just tab through like this. Okay, please. Yeah, it's good. This is good. Next, yeah, do this. Next. What about the next step? Yeah, I'll remove the comment and yeah, next button. This is good. This works. Okay, next. Okay, click next. Yeah. This is good. Oh yeah, the offset change should be called, but the spy is not created. Okay, good. Called once. Yeah. It's good. Previous to have been called once. Yep. This is nice. I'm gonna just type this quickly. It's the offset number. It's returning void. And I'm going to type the other one. I didn't ask the AI agent because I know it's having a hard time with this one. And I can replace this, replace the with to have been called exactly once with. Let's see how it goes. Good. This is a v-test matcher that is pretty amazing. Instead of having like two different assertions there. I'm really happy with this. So let's commit. Yeah, just to do tests. Now, this is the really cool part. I have my tests that are ready, but they're in to-do, so they're not running. And I'm using Wallaby.js that works with different IDEs. It's an integration of many testing tools, such as v-test in your IDE, but it's super fast and it has some amazing debugging features. And it also has an MCP so that the AI agents can communicate with it and ask it, what's the runtime value of this variable? And are the tests passing is this test passing or not? Are there any tests failing? So, and what is the coverage? So it's pretty cool. So what I'm going to do is first start Wallaby. Okay. And yeah, the tests are running. And we can see that these tests are not running because they're in to-do. And I'm going to ask the AI agent to enable these tests one by one and keep coding until these tests pass, and then move to the next tests. So let's see the prompt for this. So my prompt looks something like, I call it green. It's the go green for the TDD approach. So enable the to-do tests one by one and keep updating the code until tests pass. Then move to the next test. You can check that tests are passing using Wallaby. So let's go to the test. Let's open the prompt and go green. And you know what? I'm going to open the Paginator. Oops. Next to it. Go ahead. I was waiting for the confirmation. That's one of the side effects when the prompts come from the MCP for security reasons. It's not trusting the instructions completely. Okay, that's good. Is it working or waiting? Oh, it's working. Okay. You see, it disabled the previous button because that's what this test is about. It didn't do that for the next yet. That's good. So in case one of the tests don't pass, it generally will stop so that you can debug that with if it doesn't debug it by itself. Continue, please. Yeah, I have to keep telling it to continue because of this way of prompting. It's not too bad. Yeah, good. Now it's the next button. Yeah, the greater or equal is typically the kind of mistakes that can happen and that we didn't add a test for. Okay. Continue. Proceed. Oh, okay. So this test is failing. Now it's fixing it because it's not emitting. So it's adding the code for that. It's not compiling yet because it didn't know how to emit. Now it found out by checking the docs, and it stopped again. Come on. Yeah, that's one of the drawbacks of the asking the MCP. Not the Wallaby MCP, my MCP. If you just write the prompt yourself or reference a prompt MD, you don't have that problem. And that's it. And my test is passing. This is good. This is a hell of a shortcut. So this is what can be a bit dangerous. So we could add. Let's make the tests. Okay, this is very interesting. I wasn't expecting this because it never happened. This is why this is fun. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to make the test fail and ask it to fix the code. You know what? We're gonna create like 3 pages, and we're at the last page, and I'm going to ask it to emit 5. Okay, good. You can see the test is failing. So this is Wallaby just watching. The integration is pretty cool. And by the way, you can even say, oh, why is this test failing? And you can ask Wallaby, jump to failing test, and it jumps to the test which is failing. And this is just a little it's the tip of the iceberg in terms of Wallaby features. And fix Paginator until all tests pass. Interesting that it didn't even ask. Yeah, and it's passing. Okay, did the max. So this deserves another test, and I could ask it to add it or not. It depends anyway. So I'm happy with this, and this works for me. I accept the risk. Good. And now we have to integrate the paginator in the recipe search. But first, I'm gonna commit this and implement the paginator. Oh, by the way, didn't rename the component with navigation buttons in update test. Does not. Oh, got it. And we can remove the deprecation because now we consider it ready to use. This is good. Before moving on, please let me just rename the paginator component because it's really annoying that it's called recipe paginator. It is now time to integrate the paginator in the recipe search component. And I could simply ask the AI agent to read the design doc and to do that. But the change will be around 100 lines of code, and it might change 5 to 10 files, and that can be too much cognitive load and create the review fatigue and all the back and forth. So I will simply ask it to tidy up the recipe repository and the recipe repository fake and everything to prepare the change to the recipe search component. These baby steps could be documented in the design doc, but that's another topic. So let's ask it to refactor the recipe repository. Based on this design doc, refactor recipe repository and recipe repository fake according to it. And please do not change anything else except in order to make the tests pass. You can check the test with Wallaby as usual. Good. This is the signature or the interface from the design doc. The implementation looks good, but okay, this is perfect. And now it's implementing, updating our fake, our test double, and it's doing the pagination there. This is great. Now it's updating the component just in order to keep the tests passing, nothing more. And it's checking the tests, and all the tests are passing. Great. Look at the changes. Note that it only changed what was necessary, and it didn't even have to touch the recipe search tests, because we're using a fake as a test double here instead of using other kind of test doubles such as mocks. And I highly recommend my own video on the topic, which is called From Mock Spaghetti to Gourmet Fakes. Now we can commit this. Perfect. This is exactly the right commit message. Now let's apply our charted code in dev workflow to the recipe search. Let's include the design doc. And next tests. Good. Yeah, I don't want to check that. I want to make two assertions. This is already tested somewhere else. Good. Next test. Yes, that's exactly it. I have a burger in the first recipe, in the first page, and another burger in the second page. And when I click next and then type a few keywords, I get a burger, then another burger. It's good. Yeah. Lovely. Now let's commit this. Now let's go green. Okay, so this test is failing because it doesn't find the next button. Now it's trying to add the paginator. I hope it's gonna find it. Yeah, you're almost there. Yes. Yes, that's where it is. Yes, that's where you have to put it. Yes, you can learn stuff on the test. Oh, okay, what's happening? Oh, it enabled the first test. Okay, we're checking that the test is failing. Remember, red, green, then refactor. Good, good, good. I love this. So it added the paginator and everything is broken, which is amazing. Because now it can just keep doing its work until the test passes. The fields, the computed here is not necessary. But it's okay. That's when we tidy up later. What is it doing? Oh, the first test is passing, and I think it's... Oh, no, it's not trying the second... Oh, now it's trying the second test. Good, good. So, okay. So the first test is passing. So the pagination works, but now, you know, it has to go back to the first page when the filter signal here changes. Whoa. Ooh, that's a nasty way of doing it. How's it going? Oh, no, come on. Continue, continue. And all our tests are passing, which is great. This is good. This is really good. And now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna commit this as it is, because remember, red, green refactor. So this is green. Computed signals, yeah. Yeah, this is good. The feature is there, finally. And I just want to refactor a few things. So here, well, this computed thing is not necessary. Yeah, good, my tests are passing. And I wanted to stop using the effects. And I know that linked signals are better. Effects with linked signal. Looking for the dogs. Hopefully it's learned from the dogs, not somewhere else. And what did it do? Yeah. The offset is in the linked signal. This is great. I love this. And what did it do? I removed the effect. So yeah. And my tests are passing, and that's good. We're happy. And I can commit this, and this is a refactor. Effect with linked signal. Great. I bet you want to see how it looks like. Let's open the browser. Good. Next. And previous. Don't ask me why it's just burger, salad, and beer, and another burger, salad, and another vegan burger, salad. It's just my testing data. And I'm on the second page, and I'm going to filter the burger, and it's just working. It's going back on the first page. But the paginator is ugly. And I have no idea how I want it to look like. So let's browse the web. I don't know which one to pick. Oh, I like this one. This one's good. Yeah, this one, the second one here. This is good. Update the paginator style to look like the picture, but don't add the page numbers between the previous and next button. I just want the previous and next button. That's it. Yeah. Wow. Inline styles. Why not? Good. Yeah. You can't see if they're disabled or not, but well, that's another topic. So, and then I can refactor, like, well, I could add some visual regression tests, but that's another story. And I could just ask it to move the styles to the component styles field. move the inline styles to Angular component styles, and use classes. Or I could use Tailwind or whatever. Yeah, good. And whoa, now it's disabled. I don't know why. It's good. Perfect. That's why it's interesting to have visual regression tests now that we have this working. And that's it. The amazing thing is that the baby step commits reduce the cognitive load and make this easier to review. As you can see, except our design doc, which is 90 lines of text, all other changes are less than 3 files or less than 50 lines of code. Now, let me drop the apron and let's summarize the key takeaways. With charted coding, you have less cognitive load. The baby steps make the workflow more relaxed and more focused with less back and forth and inefficient multitasking. Yeah, because you're waiting for an agent to finish some task, and in the meantime, what do? You start working on something else, and then you lose track of what you were doing. With charted coding, we make a better use of our brains, and we can stop at any moment and continue later because each step shares the intentions for the next step. It is also more predictable than AI-assisted code and fix workflows because we're not just rolling the dice and hoping for the best. Of course, sometimes we don't need that predictability because we don't know where we're heading, or maybe it's just a side project for fun, or maybe it's not very ambitious, or maybe it's a spike. We love spikes in extreme programming. It's just code that you write for learning, and from there you might want to start your design doc or think of your implementation or write your tests. It's not a proof of concept, it's just an exploration. That's typically where vibe coding is a really good fit. I also feel that AI reasoning works better, faster, and maybe cheaper with scoped tasks like, what do you think of this design doc, in opposition to what do you think of the implementation of this feature in this whole code base. This also means less prompts and less tokens. Another observation is that archived design docs are a goldmine of concise and context-rich data that could help AI agents not only understand the code, but the whole story behind it and how we got there and why we made that choice and not that other choice. My conclusion is that there is no battle between structured development workflows and TDD versus AI-assisted developments. They actually play really well together, and I bet that this is just going to get better in the future. Well, that was a long meal to eat, and I hope that you've enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching, but please try this, and if you have any questions, just drop a comment or reach out, and stay tuned. Bye. Just one last thing. If you're tired of tests that taste like cardboard, I'd love to invite you into my kitchen. In Pragmatic Angular Test and Video course, I share the lessons and the mistakes from nearly 20 years of learning the hard way. My goal is simple: help you write tests that support you, not slow you down. You'll find all the links in the description. Allez, back to your kitchen now, let's cook.